Shay Franklin is a partner at Gotham Government Relations, and he joins us now live from New York. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. These comments do mark a bit of a departure from Joe Biden's normally cautious tone in response to what Vladimir Putin says, don't they? What do you think prompted the outspoken remarks?
Well, there are a few things. First of all, Putin has become increasingly detached from any sense of reality of what's going on the ground, and he's become increasingly bunkered in his perception that his regime is at risk. There is an existential threat not to Russia, but to the regime of Vladimir Putin, and it's not clear what he might do. In the later days of the Watergate scandal in 1973-74, there were concerns about President Nixon possibly using nuclear weapons. And Vietnam was still going on at the time. Another concern that we have now is just a few days ago, North Korea launched a missile over Japan. So what President Biden says about Russia will be heard by the leadership in North Korea, the leadership in Iran, the leadership in China, and the leadership in other countries which might entertain the use of tactical nuclear weapons. Putin has already been using nuclear power plants as a form of extortion, nuclear extortion, and we came very close a few months ago in Zaporizhia to actually having a major Chernobyl-like disaster that was going to be manufactured by the Russians. So there are a lot of concerns here. The U.S. administration has been communicating at every possible level privately to the Russian government and to Putin directly what the consequences would be. And when Joe Biden says this would be Armageddon, he's not making a threat. He is making a warning that this is something we have to pay attention to. And this could actually be a way of de-escalating by letting Putin know that we are taking him seriously. And then Putin may feel that having made that threat, he can afford to lose some ground, which he's losing now, and not really use tactical nuclear weapons. But it's hard to know exactly what's going on in Putin's mind. What we do know is that President Biden has a responsibility to set a tone.
But with all of that in mind, his comments do appear to have caught some of those in the White House and indeed the Pentagon off guard, because not for the first time they've had to row back slightly on things that the president has said.
Yes, I think what caught them off guard is not his assessment, which they share, but the fact that he said it publicly. And that, I think, is really a judgment call for a president to make. At what point do you decide that the private deterrence and trying to pretend that everything is normal is no longer working? And you need to move beyond that. Putin himself had made a statement about using nuclear weapons the day before, or the same day, actually. So Biden then, I think, had to meet that and to, in some senses, circumvent that and get ahead of that to keep the world calm. And just to say what he said might sound alarming, but sometimes there's a need to pull the fire alarm. And I think that's what President Biden did. His staff would have preferred not to. Politically, we have midterm elections coming up in just 1 month here in the United States, which will determine control of the House and the Senate and a number of state legislatures and governors. So they want to look like everything is under control. But that's what Putin is trying to do, and that's why Russia is going down the drain. If Putin were
a necessary response then from Joe Biden in your view. Shay Franklin, we thank you very much indeed. We will have to leave it there. Shay Franklin, partner at Gotham Government Relations, thank you for joining us.